one of the most controversial topics in wrestling is the Mount Rushmore of wrestling, and I think I'm going to blow these guys up when I give you my four. So stick around, see what we say, and who we got on our Mount Rushmore. And if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. We drop daily wrestling content. Special guest of the night, Abe from Detroit. He's from the Holy Shh podcast. We don't say that word. Shh. Why don't you go ahead and tell the viewers where to find your page and all that?
Yeah, you can find the Holy Shh podcast. That's with 3 H's. Shh. But yeah, the Holy Shh podcast. You can check us out on all platforms. Anything, any social media you can find, you'll find the Holy Shh podcast. And me personally, I have a page where I cover all things Michigan related, sports, artists, and everything under the sun under Michigan. It's called ABE from DET.
Awesome. So I'm gonna put the links to all those in the description box below. Make sure you check it out. I've invited him on just because I've seen his content. He kills it, man. He's got awesome content, awesome shorts, and all that. So
Appreciate you, brother.
excited to have you on. MVP. I feel like I left you out. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
All right. So yeah, let's get into it. And I'm gonna put the pressure on MVP. I'm gonna let you go first. So give us one of your Mount Rushmore.
Okay, I'm gonna have to go. Vincent.
Dang. All right, end the show. We lost all our credibility. Okay, go ahead.
I'm going to Hulk Hogan.
Solid.
Just like all like the old time wrestling fans, like, oh, I watched wrestling back in the day. They bring up Hulk Hogan.
They do.
Yeah, and when the business was just like really getting on in the 80s, he was the guy. And then well into the 90s, he was still the guy until we hit the Attitude Era. So he's got to be on there.
Were you a Hulkamaniac?
Not as much. Not as much.
Yeah, I low key.
Being the student of the game that I am, I've seen his stuff, and you get why he was a fan favorite for all those years, and then you get why he had to turn.
Oh yeah, he had to. But all right, Abe, who you got number one on your Mount Rushmore? Don't got to be in any order, but
I had a different order, but since MVP went there, I have to. We are on the same page. My number one is also Hulk Hogan.
oh,
I know he gets a lot of heat for his personal decisions he's made lately, but this guy is the standard bearer of professional wrestling. If it was no him, it may not be us here talking about it. So no matter what he did in his personal life, his professional set the standard of what a wrestler is, what a superstar is. He transcended just from wrestling to pop culture. He did it all, man. To this day, if you think of wrestling and you ask the average fan who doesn't watch like us, they'll say Hulk Hogan. So for just that alone, he makes my Mount Rushmore.
All right, 100%. All right.
And yes, I am a Hulkamaniac.
There you go.
Underneath, not out loud anymore because you know what he did, but in my soul, I still am.
Once in a while, you're in the bathroom mirror doing one of these.
Everyone, don't tell people that because it's controversial now. But yes.
All right. So I was just telling these boys before we started recording, I built a spreadsheet just because I didn't want to just pick I always pick the same people. I'm like, I wonder if I put all the categories that builds a wrestler, and I sorted it and saw who was higher and lower and who my Mount Rushmore would be then. And I'm going to start at the bottom, The Undertaker. And you can't get any bigger than The Undertaker in the 90s. And his character, the Phenom, it was just such a spectacle to see. But I mean, in-ring work and all that is just, he's a leader out there. He can walk you through he could have a match with a broom and I'd watch it. It'd be a 5-star match, The only thing I ranked him low on was promo, because I mean, you can only say rest in peace so many times, and it doesn't. I want to see you work, brother. I don't want to see you talk. So, but I mean, part of a lot of crazy storylines, Ministry of Darkness, all that. I mean, you got to go Undertaker. So he's number 4, and I'm working my way up.
Okay.
MVP, I'll kick it to
you. So I'm gonna have to put Stone Cold Steve Austin. Arguably at the time when wrestling was at its hottest, the Attitude Era, the guy to usher in that Attitude Era was the middle finger waving, that beer drinking, that pickup truck driving son of a gun, Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah, I get it. He definitely deserves to be on there.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, we're going to Abe.
My number 2 is none other than the Nature Boy, Ric Flair. What he did with professional wrestling to me, Hulk Hogan, when I was growing up, he was the poster boy, the in the big time promotion, but Flair was always that underground legend to me, to where he didn't want to come to WWE. He was underground, NWA, WCW. He was forced to go to WWE. But what he did, the talking, the understanding the culture, people are still saying his catchphrases to this day. And he gave birth to Charlotte Flair. Come on, man.
That's true.
He passed the genes on to another great. So Ric Flair makes my Mount Rushmore for sure. And shout out to the Four Horsemen.
Oh, throw the fours up.
You know, and it's got to be that arthritic four with the curled fingers. If you put them straight, that's not it. It's you got it. That Arn Anderson.
Yeah. So I got a question for you then. What's your favorite version of the Four Horsemen?
OG Tully, the OGs. You know, I like them all. Maybe not so much the one with McMichaels and
See, that one's mine. Benoit, McMichael, and
Whoa. What are we saying out here? Benoit and all that.
All right, he's bringing up Vince McMahon, Benoit. What's going on here, man?
Man, we're one more name away from shutting this thing down.
Right.
No, I do like Malenko and Crispin Wah. I do like them in there. But yeah, so okay, I'm working my way up. Number 3, The Rock. Gotta go with The Rock. And I mean, his in-ring work was very solid. He was very good at selling. And like you guys at MVP, Stone Cold, like how many feuds those two could wrestle every week on Raw. I'm into it because The Rock was putting on
3 WrestleMania main events.
Oh yeah, and they felt fresh every time. They were a whole different story every time. And The Rock is really good at the storytelling. He's phenomenal in promos. Obviously, it's not all on the wrist all the time, like John Cena said. But I mean, The Rock, and like you said, he went on to just like Hogan did, but he made even bigger movies than Hogan ever did. I mean, he did like Mr. Nanny and Thunder in Paradise, but I'm talking like Fast and Furious franchise. I guess we won't bring up the Tooth Fairy, but anyways,
right.
he was good though. The Rock is, me personally, he's my favorite wrestler of all time, but he ends up being 3 on the list. So I'm gonna go The Rock.
All right. So my third, I'd have to go with the GOAT, John Cena.
John Cena.
And so he's the second person to hit 16-time world champion status, and he's got a legit opportunity in the coming year to break that record. I see WWE having the opportunity to do that. I say they take it. But in a transitional period where all the Attitude Era guys are dropping off and they're trying to find the next guy, out comes John Cena with his Thugonomics rapping gimmick, and he's just he goes from bad guy to babyface, and WWE finds their guy, and for the next decade or so, he could. I mean, to the older male audience who's not really they're trying to find something new. They're gonna boo him, but for the women and especially the children, John Cena was their guy, and it showed. He sold a lot of tickets. He was the guy. So I'm going to go John Cena. All
right, can't go wrong there.
Can't go wrong with that pick. Now, I honestly didn't put mines in order, but now that I'm hearing how I said it, I'm not mad at Hogan being 1, Flair being 2. So my number 3 is my personal favorite. If I had to pick the best wrestler of all time, it would be my number 3. And that is the icon, the main event, the showstopper himself, the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. From the moment that he super kicked Marty Jannetty through that barbershop window, he was on a rocket to the moon. He revolutionized the game. He brought in the Attitude Era with Degeneration X. He is the greatest seller of all time. of all time. He makes himself look good. He makes others look good. He can
Agree with
talk on
that.
the mic. He's got the look. He's got everything. He checks every box to me in a professional wrestler. Hogan, he does not have great move set, so he's missing a box. But Shawn Michaels, he checks every box to me. The best wrestler of all time. Number 3, the Heartbreak Kid.
You know what? I gotta tell you, like, so when I say my favorite is The Rock, it is so close to being him and Shawn Michaels because I'm a Heartbreak Kid fan myself, and yeah, I love, and I actually think a hot take here. His second run after his injury was much better than the first run, even though we're talking about Iron Man matches and the first ladder match and all that. He just had so many better 5-star matches in that second run, and I think that
the sober, clear mind found Jesus.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hallelujah.
All right, I gotta go with my number 2, right above The Rock, and I wouldn't have put him there over The Rock, but the ranking is the ranking. I can't control it, but Stone Cold Steve Austin, and he edges out The Rock just based on, I think, the popularity at the time. Like, he beat up his boss. Who did not want to beat up their boss at that point? The Rock ended up doing that, but the first person to really jumpstart that attitude era was Stone Cold, right from that promo against Jake the Snake Roberts at King of the Ring, and he just carried that on. And man, Stone Cold, as soon as that glass shattered, game over. The fans were into it, loudest pops you ever heard. And he didn't have the ring. Now, he's good in the ring. He didn't have the ring work of the other guys I have, but man, he put a mud hole in you and he'd get it going. So,
well, you can blame Owen Hart dropping him on his head for his ring work, because he was a pretty solid technical wrestler before that injury.
That's true. That is fair. That's fair. So, but yeah, Stone Cold is number 2 on my Mount Rushmore.
Yep.
All right, my last pick for my Mount Rushmore, and I went back and forth with this pick because he's still a current superstar right now.
Oh,
wow!
The ones up, but all right.
I'm gonna have to go Roman Reigns.
Wow.
So he just had the fourth longest title reign in history. You can argue that was the most important title reign in history, especially when it started in the pandemic, just to draw people to the the content, the show. And right now, as we're talking right now, the TKO stock is at its highest, and it's on the back of Roman Reigns. So I'm gonna have to. I gotta. Proof's in the pudding. He's the guy selling tickets right now, and it's at an all-time high right now. So Roman Reigns.
Thought you were going to say Solo for a minute. No, I'm just kidding. The tribal chief, man, I can't argue with that. Roman, if you've been a long time watcher of this podcast, I'm a huge bloodline mark, but yeah, I like Roman.
Yes, you are.
We'll kick it to Abe.
For those who are longtime listeners of my podcast, you know that I do not like Roman. I am a Cody guy. Me and my buddy Chuck, we argue every episode. He argues for Roman. I argue for Cody. It's a civil war we have. I'm not mad at your pick. I understand what you're saying.
I just watched your short earlier with you and Chuck, right? And you were saying, like, man, every time I'm telling you about Cody,
every time that son of a. Okay, never mind.
No. Look, I'm not the biggest Roman fan at all. I'll say I'm a bigger Cody fan than Roman.
Yeah, but
at the stage of the game, he's got to be in the top 4.
I agree. No false there. My fourth is definitely a hot take. So let me do a little explaining before I name him. This man started wrestling in 1990. 90s. He was in the top in the 90s. In the thousands, he was in the top. In the 10s, he was in the top. And in the 20s, early 20s, maybe not now, he was in the top. There's been no professional wrestler who has crossed all those boards and stayed consistent. My number 4 is Chris Jericho.
Wow. I
He's
think
reinvented
that.
himself over and over again. What he's doing at AEW now, bringing up the young talent, ushering in the new era. I mean, I didn't want to. He's not like my favorite. This happened like 5 years ago where he made my Mount Rushmore. And he knocked Austin off, and the reason I did that just because Austin got injured and he had to go away. It's kind of like my argument I always have with Jordan and LeBron. Jordan's my favorite. But LeBron lasted longer, and I would just be a hater not to acknowledge his stats and his longevity and put him above. And I'm doing the same with Chris Jericho. When you put that work in, that effort, and you stay relevant for so long, we all watch this. You know how hard it is to stay on top. You could fall off like that. One bad storyline. But this guy has reinvented himself so many times. If I made a top 20 list, 5 of his characters might make that list. Different entities of who he is, you know? So that's why I give it to Chris Jericho, man. He's just a workhorse. He never stops.
Yeah, I love me some Chris Jericho. I think my favorite version of him is The List. You got to go to The List.
Yeah.
He's just,
Yeah, I love The List.
the fact that this man took a notebook and got it over with the crowd that shows his talent. I mean,
yeah.
I can't hate on
plus,
that.
And plus, I'm an
crazy,
AEW mark, so I got to throw an AEW guy up there.
That I'll tell you what, that's the first positive thing about AEW that's ever been said on this show. But
but you don't want me on because I could talk all day. I love it.
All right. So my number one is my number one, and I have never put this man in my Mount Rushmore just because my original Mount Rushmore is Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, Ric Flair, and Undertaker. That's my top 4 favorites, but based on promo skills, popularity, championships, ring work, all that, it's John Cena. You can't see me. So, and like you said, I mean, the things he's done in the ring, like he's been long, even though he went away to make movies, he still comes around. Like he didn't take a 10-year break like The Rock did or whatever. Still wants to come back and do stuff for the fans. Been involved in a lot of crazy moments, like with the CM Punk leaving with the championship of Money in the Bank and headlining with The Rock twice. And I mean, he's just been all over the place. And then you talk about outside the ring and like the Make-A-Wish Foundation, like how many wishes he's done for these children out there that, you know, that touches my heart. I got a 16-month-old, so anything with kids now gets me teary-eyed. Like that's just always going to be the thing. But, you know, everything he's done, he's my number one on my Mount Rushmore.
Nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so drop in the comments below if you agree with our takes. If you have any hot takes, I'd like to see you guys and what you would say, because I wrote out 50 wrestlers, and here's a hot take. My bottom guy based on all the categories was Andre the Giant. Out of 50 wrestlers, but
50.
Any honorable mentions, MVP? Abe, anyone you want to talk about real quick?
Well, definitely has struggled with putting Undertaker up there. Struggled with keeping out Ric Flair, Chris Jericho. Many different people that could have easily been on that list.
Yeah, mine's is the obvious: Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock. And one that some people don't talk about a lot, Dusty Rhodes. I would have liked to put him up there just because he was more than a wrestler, the booking that he did back in the day. Mm-hmm. And he gave birth to one of the greatest wrestlers that ever lived, my guy, Cody Rhodes. You know?
Yep.
All right, that's true.
Whoa! Well, hey, that is my song. I always have it queued up. Out the curtain lights go up from home. Whoa! It stays queued up over here.
I love it.
That's awesome.
You know what? And I will say this, I'll defend Cody too, that I think he's awesome. And I think that if he was given really good feud since Mania, this would be a hot title reign. But this is really on WWE. They haven't really built anyone as like a strong heel to go against him. So everyone that's like, oh, he's like mid, and it's like he hasn't had anything to sink his teeth into. Yeah. Give him what should have happened today, my personal take. You turn Owens heel, win the title, and you put Cody back in that chase mode. Everyone thinks different about Cody. All of a sudden he's the greatest thing ever because he's got something to sink his teeth into. But that didn't happen. But anyway,
I think they're waiting on The Rock to come back.
I think so too. But then that's like, and I get it. I get it. Money talks, but
I still want to know what did he hand Cody that night? You know, we got to finish that story too.
I wanted it to be Dusty Rhodes' watch that he pawned off to get money for his family, and like,
Ooh.
I got you this. Don't make me regret. Don't make me come after you again.
Ooh, yeah.
Like, but everyone that's like, oh, he just gave him back the Rolex that he gave him the night before. I hate that story. Like,
right.
oh, you don't want my watch, bitch? I'll go sell it then.
Right.
Hot take. He gave him a condom. So he's like, here, you're gonna go celebrate with your wife. I don't want any excuse. I'm gonna be here next year.
Oh man, that's hilarious. Oh man, I can't wait to get the final boss back.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's the best version of him.
That's
But
the best.
again, if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. Abe from Detroit, is awesome to have you on. One last thing for the viewers, if you don't mind, I got to plug. We are affiliates of the WWE Shop. I posted WWE Shop QR code right here. It's no extra money for you, but it helps support this podcast and it helps support the WWE, and there's nothing wrong with that. So on that note, Abe, awesome to have you on. I'm looking forward to have you on again, brother.
Anytime, brother. Especially if you want to talk some AEW, man. I'll fight with anybody over that.
Hey, we'll have a hot take episode. All right, take care of yourself. We'll see you later.
All right, brother.